What's going on, gang, and welcome back to Scared of Normal. I'm Mike Murphy, joined by James Stocco, and today we're sitting down with the multifaceted creator, musician, songwriter, and all-around dope dude, Seth 𝙎𝘾𝘼. Dude, thank you for coming to hang out today.
Dude, thank you for having me, and thank you for that intro.
Dude,
that's a pretty good little intro. I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning of the Scared of Normal project, like, you've been a person that we've wanted to have onto the show because you've had, like, since I've known you, like, an unrelenting and determined mindset and your approach to things. So it's fitting that you're here.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Well, before we really get into it, I want to congratulate you on all your recent success and your 2 new singles. They both really slap. So,
dude,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting to have. It was exciting to have one song in the world, and now I got 2. So now it's like, oh, okay, I feel like
feels real.
I'm
now.
not faking it anymore. I'm real. Yeah.
And there's a 3rd one on the way, right?
And there's a 3rd one on the way. I'll give a Traction Coffee Scared of Normal exclusive that comes out on April 5th.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Heck yeah, right around the corner then.
Yeah.
Dude, with the way the time's been flying, we're talking like the last time I saw you was a year ago. So that'll feel like a couple days from now, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, all of these releases have just like come up so quick, and in making all the content for them, it feels like it just, you know, you have the idea and then you go do it, and then it happened, and then now it's out, and then boom, that's it. It's like Christmas.
I love that. Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, for the people who are unaware of who you are, how would you describe yourself to somebody?
I would describe myself first as a musician, and second as an artist, and third as a creator. Maybe 4th as an educator too.
There you go. Yeah, I feel like educator needs to live in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So describe to me, what's the difference? So you said musician 1, artist 2nd, and creator. What's the difference between those 3? Or what do you see as the difference?
Well, as a musician, I guess I say musician first just because that's been the longest.
Right.
I've been playing music my whole life. And then the difference between a musician and an artist in my mind is a musician is somebody who, you just play music. So you can get hired by other people, and you play other people's music, you play your own music, you just play music. Mostly an instrumentalist, right? And then an artist is someone who creates their own music. Right.
Oh, dope. Okay,
so it's
I dig this.
So as an artist, I hire other musicians. And then as a musician, I get hired by other artists.
Oh, that's
you know what
fun.
I'm saying?
Yeah. That is a good perspective
like
on that.
Yeah. And then as a creator, I feel like a creator is like the modern definition of that is just somebody who's making things online.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I am. And then educator is thrown in there because if you go check out my Instagram, of course, there's lots of how-to videos and educational music or videos about music and about guitar. And so.
Yeah. And we'll probably get into the education piece a lot later, but you've been teaching music for a long time as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I think maybe educator should be further up on that list because I've been doing that. Over a decade now. I've been teaching privately, and I've taught at multiple studios and just on my own through the years and doing private lessons. And I taught my way through college as well while I was taking lessons too. And it's just, honestly, it's something that I absolutely love to do, and I'll do it the rest of my life. I've always said that. Whether or not it's at a full-time capacity, probably that'll come and go, but I'll be teaching forever. So, yeah.
And what
That's so cool.
Is it? Well, obviously I saw on your Instagram, it's like the guitar stuff. Are you teaching anything else, like recording or anything like that?
It hasn't come to that too much yet, but it's funny that you mentioned it being other things than just guitar, because the guitar thing is just what popped off. But at first I was also doing like small videos about like how to, resize your video for Instagram Reels. I put something like that up, or like how to, I thought at first, okay, I want to make videos for people like me, because I've been doing the video thing as a musician for years. I've always been the one who did all of the video and content creation for any band I was in. And now it's all, it's what I do for myself too. But I had a buddy, Andy Sitto, he was like, dude, you are so good at this. You should make videos that help other artists and other people who want to do this for themselves or for their bands.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's such a good idea. So at first I was like, okay, how do I rope in, like as a musician, I want to speak to the musician of how to be a content creator or how to be someone who can make content for themselves. And And so then I made a couple videos about that. And then I made like 1 or 2 lesson videos and they just popped off. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep making some
Gotta switch
guitar
the focus.
lessons. Yeah. Which is fine, you know, and I think I'll probably go back to some of those other like how to media related questions and stuff. But
yeah, I feel like once you build like a good audience showing that you are a great educator through like one niche thing, then you can kind of spill it over, but it's hard to be broad from the beginning.
I know. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that like right now I'm even trying to figure out is like, okay, I've gained this following of people who know me as a guitar educator or someone who's made these guitar lessons and they followed me because they want to learn guitar. How do I convert these people into fans? Right. How do I convert them into fans of not just my music, but just of me? And how do I keep growing that fan base as well at the same time? So I'm like in this weird in-between phase, I feel right now, where I'm like releasing music and I'm also still giving guitar lessons and I'm also still trying to be like personable and have this like content creation that kind of swings both ways and is, you know, I guess trying to just show who I am, not just like Seth is a Instagram guitar teacher. It's like, being trying to just incorporate more of who I am and show. I want people to be a fan of me first, and then be a fan of the music, and then be a fan of the lessons.
It's it's
like a trickle down type of thing. Yeah, that's a hard scenario to approach and make it like as impactful as it can be.
Yeah, totally, and still be myself doing it too. Yeah. You know, it's like I can pump out things that. We were just talking about ChatGPT before this. You know, I could like put in some ideas into ChatGPT and then just pump out content. But it's like, well, no, I want to do things that like,
it's like soulful.
Soulful, like has my voice in it and things that I actually like care about doing.
Yeah. And because I think you can see that when people are creating content. Like I consume a lot of like educational content through YouTube, and like you can see the people who are actually like give a shit about what they're talking about, or the people who are using like these, you know, automated platforms that are kind of like dictating their next move, you know?
Yeah. I even saw this was on TikTok, I think it was yesterday, but some dude was like, it was an ad and he's like, yeah, I've gotten so many followers and, you know, listens on Spotify and blah, blah, and I've put together a package of ideas for TikToks and for content to make. And I was like, what? And I went and looked and he's got like, I don't even know. He didn't even say how many ideas there were, but it was a $50 package.
Wow.
I was like, dude, you're charging $50 for ideas and people are going to buy it too.
Oh, yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to be that person. Yeah. And also, what's this chat? What is it? Chat GPT? What
oh man, this is the future right now.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's
something else I don't know about.
It's just AI.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can literally put anything in there. Like you can be like, hey, write me a bio for my new video or something like that, and you can give it a little bit of context and it will write a bio for the video.
I got you.
But it's like, way more detailed than that, because you can say, hey, write me a doctoral essay about X in the style of X.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can like get super
if you plug in the
it.
variables, it will like spit them back to you in such an eloquent fashion that like it's pretty hard to like read something that a human wrote. Like it obviously types in its own like, you know, format, and like you can probably pick it apart, but it's pretty phenomenal.
It's a really good starting spot, I'm sure, if nothing else.
I think what I really like about it too is that you can just like talk to it like a normal person. Like last night I was coming up with some ideas with it, and I was like, okay, give me some, I was talking about this with you guys earlier too, about titles and coming up with YouTube titles and like what are some other ideas, right? Of like, because I'm so bad at that part. And then I would be like, what are some titles? And then I'd say, without even like asking the question again, I'd just be like, give me some more. Give me some more that have this kind of element to this. Give me some more with this, you know? And I would just like, it would just go, okay, yeah, here's some others based off of what I just,
what you liked too, you know?
Yeah.
And building on that.
Yeah. I've even like I've written a couple like website descriptions with it, and like, I'll like just wordsmith it around a little bit and then I'll run it back through there. Like I'll put my own verbiage on it and then I'll run it back through and it'll like refine it a little more. And you're just like, if you can work with it, like you're saying, you talk to it like a normal person.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It becomes like the world's best free assistant.
Yeah.
Which is pretty bizarre to think about.
It's funny how I just said how I don't use ChatGPT and I don't want to use that for making videos, but then I confessed to using it for titles.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it's really
That's
hard.
Why I'm here. I get the truth out of you.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're a one-man show to do everything, you know? And
Man,
so
it is.
Instead of like sitting there spinning your wheels on like, since it's not the thing you're passionate about, making titles, like you're using your time wisely by using a tool that can help make your life a little easier. So
totally.
I think there's some nobility in that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring it back to a little bit. Where did you grow up? Are you Colorado?
I'm a Colorado boy.
Oh,
I was born in New York, but I ended up in Colorado, bopped around the world for a second, and then ended up in Colorado when I was 4. So I've been here for a long time, or maybe 3. But yeah, this is my home. Colorado, yeah. Broomfield. Yeah, nice. Good old Broomfield boy.
That place has changed a little bit since you were a young one.
Dude, yeah, when I was young, I remember we used to go bike riding like through just miles of dirt fields. Like that was the thing, is you would just go find all these trails and there's tons of dirt fields, and now it's just all built up. Like Broomfield's a whole,
it's crazy,
whole nother world, that's for sure.
So Broomfield's a suburb between Boulder and Denver.
Yeah.
Just for our English listeners, I know that there's like 2 of them, but yeah,
they're there.
They're my mates.
Yeah, no, I grew up there, and then if you want the whole story, I grew up there, and then I moved to Wyoming for college for like a year and a half. Thought I was going to do electrical engineering, and then I quickly realized that's just not where I wanted to be, and came back to Colorado to start doing music. And then just through, through God and life, I just kind of fell into performing, and then, ended up being in bands. And I thought originally I was going to do like recording arts down here mostly. I thought I was going to come and be like a studio guy. And I still love doing that too. And I do have that degree as well. But then I ended up adding on the performance, and I've just been performing ever since. That's kind of where I landed and felt most at home, I think, is being on the stage and getting to just interact and play musically with other people. That's like where I feel comfortable.
That's
Did you do college? I know you said you went.
I did, yeah, dude. I took forever. I ended up graduating super late because I switched majors and then switching colleges and then going. I did it way too much, and but I did double. I doubled in recording arts and music performance.
And then do you see in the music side of things, so obviously speaking as a photographer, I never went to college for photography, taught myself using YouTube and just pissing around.
Yeah.
Do you see the degrees being a benefit to you? Like, was that a foot in the door at some point or anything like that?
I think the biggest benefit is your network that you get. And especially as a musician, I think as a photographer, it might be a little bit different. And, of course, I was going to say, because I do photography and videography as well. And I was thinking, man, well, I didn't go to college for that either. But even then, a lot of my network for that was music related. And where did I get that network? Well, it started at school. So I think no matter what, that's really, as an artist, no matter what kind of art you're going into, if you want to go to college, that's why you go, is so that you can meet people who want to do it.
It's the networking part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Not to say I didn't learn things musically as well. And I had great professors, especially in the performance area, like a lot of great jazz professors who just kicked my butt, and I learned a lot musically there as well. But I think I've learned even more about my instrument and musically through playing and gigging outside of college and just growing. And I feel like I'm still learning all that, of course.
You're always going to be learning. Yeah. And then it's the real life experience.
I feel like any sort of like creative degree, that's kind of where it comes down to. It's like, it's the network is great, but like if you want to exceed or, prevail in whatever you're doing, you have to like take it on yourself on the outside of school, because you're learning the same thing everybody else is learning when you're in school.
Yeah.
So totally. You're talking about like being out there and practicing it in the real world, like the amount that you learn beyond what everybody else knows how to do is pretty insane. So that's absolutely. Really cool. So talking about growing up here in Colorado, at what point did music come into your life?
Oh man, it's been a very early thing for me. When I was a kid, my dad made me play violin. Like it wasn't like, do you want to? It was like, nope, here you go. You're playing violin, put me in lessons. And it's funny, I tell this story to people sometimes about how I used to fake being sick to get out of lessons. I remember at least one specific time where I did that, and I didn't like it growing up, and I don't think I liked it because it was forced on me. And but it's come, I've had it since a very young age, music. And I think that's why I'm a musician now, is just because it's like, it's funny, like a major scale that you teach to somebody. Like, I don't know what it feels like to not know a major scale. That's how long I've been playing music. Right. I don't know what that feels like to not know what that sounds like.
Isn't that an interesting thing to consider? I was literally just having this conversation with a friend like 2 days ago about riding bikes.
Yeah.
Because he's learning how to like manual on a bike, you know, where you're like riding on the back wheel. And he was like, well, like, do you remember learning it? And I was like, dude, same thing. I can't remember like how to not do it, which is like a really weird thing to it's like walking.
Yeah. It would actually be kind of cool if there was a way where I could like, for like just a half hour, like have some moments or have a time for a half hour where I didn't know what it felt like to be a musician, so I could go listen to music and like feel what that feels like.
For sure.
Good question. But would you at the beginning of this half hour know that in half an hour you're going to go back to how you are, or do you think that you're just going to be ultimately frustrated
starting back over?
Sorry, that was a total trippy
wow,
question.
I don't know.
There was some depth there.
Hopefully we can like trick that part of your brain too, so that you're not frustrated.
You're not frustrated. Yeah, so you really can go in with virgin ears. You can go in without the knowledge. Because I do on-set photography for films as well as some other stuff. And now that when I sit and watch a movie, I don't refuse, but I basically refuse to watch with anybody else because I know how annoying I'm going to be. Because I'm going to be like, oh, do you see the key light on that? Oh, and they filmed it this way and they filmed it that way. And and it just ruins movies. Yep. Like I can't watch a movie anymore without like picking it apart.
Couldn't you say though, a really good movie, you won't do that with? It'll take a really good movie to really suck you in, and you probably have to see it in theaters.
Yeah, I think that's a thing, because I was watching some Robert De Niro shit yesterday, and I was just like, dude, this sucks. And I can't remember which one it was or whatever. And I'm not saying him, like, but...
Just the production.
But just the whole production of it, I was like, this fucking sucks.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, no, absolutely. That I guess that is the ultimate thing, where you do watch a movie or you do listen to a piece of music where you can be taken away with it. You know, you put your big headphones on, close your eyes, and then...
Yeah, if you're not sitting there thinking about, like, you're not picking it apart, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
They're really immersing
you can be immersed in it, and you're just like, enjoying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. So it started off with violin. Where did it go from there?
Yeah, violin, touched on piano for a hot sec, some clarinet in middle school.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, baby. I got my first guitar when I was 12, though, and then hopped in lessons with that for a bit. Did drumline all through high school. Loved that. Loved playing drums. And then after that, I got some opportunities to play bass guitar. Ended up taking bass guitar to college, and then that just fell into my lap because a lot of people need a bass player, you know, and I was good at it. And I just decided, all right, well, I'm just going to get a degree in this as well and keep going. And I did. And I kept playing in bands and kept playing bass. And then somewhere along the way, I ended up switching back to guitar. And I think I just ultimately wanted to, you know, I do love bass too, but I don't know. I love it all. So now I teach drums, bass, guitar, piano, and in my band for my own solo project, I play guitar. And that's the best way to lead a group, I think.
That's sick. Yeah. I love the guitar, man.
So did you learn, when you started in violin, did you learn to read music? And is that something that you kept, or was it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yep. I had to learn how to read music, except, you know, it was Suzuki violin. So there was a lot of not reading as well. Like Suzuki method is all about like not reading, but I do distinctly remember reading pieces back then. And I would even do competitions, actually. Like violin competitions where I'd go and play in front of judges and then they'd score me and whatever. And I used to win these competitions, which is kind of crazy. So I'm sure if I would have stuck with violin, I'd probably be a great violinist.
Yeah. Have you ever considered picking it back up, or is that part of your life?
No,
that chapter's closed.
It's done, man. You know, the closest thing that I've done with that is upright bass. So, upright's fun, but no, I need some frets, baby.
Yeah,
some frets.
Right on.
So you just rattled off a ton of instruments that you have played over the years. How many can you play?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I mean, if you let me sit with an instrument, I can figure it out, because it's not even just, maybe not even my experience on other instruments as much as it is my ear, right? Like being able to, like, I could sit with a wind instrument, and even though I don't know the fingering, if I would like sat there and figured out what all the fingers are, give me long enough, I'm going to figure it out, you know?
That's so cool. That's always so fascinating to me. Like when people can listen to the music and then play it that way, like by ear.
What's crazy is, dude, it's so ingrained in me at this point that I was playing bass at this church for years. And I remember I would learn some, sorry, Gina, if you're listening to this. So there were sometimes on Sundays where I would learn the song on the way to church, just listening to it. I would just listen to it and just learn it. Yeah. Just in my head and then go play it. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's like hard for me to even like begin to rationalize.
Yeah, you know what though? I think playing at a church though too, and I would say this to anybody listening who's like, how do I get involved in music? I think playing at a church is huge. Even as like, I started playing at this church even after I had my college degree, but I think playing at church is what really helped solidify my ear. Because you're playing so many of the same songs or same style of songs every week. You have a reason to learn new music every week. That you start to notice these patterns. And it's funny because like I learned all these patterns in college, but there's something about at church, it's just broken down so simply that, and you do it so consistently that you just start to build an ear for it even more than ever.
That's so just like the routine of being able to do it every weekend or every week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
So we've talked a little bit about the instruments, but when did you find your voice? Because I've known you for a long time, and I'm interested to know at what point you were like, maybe I should take a crack at singing.
You know, I still don't feel like I wouldn't call myself a vocalist, you know, but I used to sing when I was a kid. You know, I used to do like kid choir things and whatever. But I like after school programs. And then when I got into bands in my early 20s, I was very self-conscious about singing. And there were just moments where I would be required to sing or asked to sing just out of needing backup singer. And so I think I certainly didn't sound good, but just through that experience and years of doing backup singing in all the bands I've been in, and then church, you know, as well. And so when it came time to ask myself, do I want to be a solo artist? Like, that's when it was like, okay, let's get serious about the singing thing. And actually, before I recorded this EP, I took singing lessons so that I could go into the studio and feel more prepared. And that really helped me out a lot. So very thankful for that. And yeah, I'm still learning, but yeah.
And you did a character like voice lessons before that, didn't you?
Oh, I didn't do lessons, but I've just always loved making voices. And so I did put together a voiceover reel.
I remember that.
Yeah, man. And so I do all these like cartoon characters. And it's funny, actually, it was a little over a year ago now, I did some voiceover acting for an actual gig for a short animation, animated film. And anyways, I delivered it all and I never heard from them again. But I don't know what's going on with that. I need to hit them up, actually.
Yeah,
I haven't hit them up in like a year because I hit them up like months later and then I never got a response. I was like, that's weird. And then now I need to go back. I should probably hit them up again. But it was my first real like acting experience where we all got on Zoom calls because these people were from all over the country. These were like some LA and New York cats who got people from all their friends around the country. And I got on a call and we all did like multiple table readings.
Yeah.
Multiple Zoom calls and did the real thing. And I was like, wow,
was that stressful?
It was because, you know, like my audition was just me recording into my computer all alone in my room. And then I send it off to them. Well, I had my buddy helping me too, admittedly, but I send it off to them. And then it's like, oh, I got to do this voice in front of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's hard, man.
And I feel like over the Zoom stuff, because I've been around table readings where I haven't done one over Zoom, but what I can imagine is like when you're in table reading and people are next to you shoulder to shoulder, you can kind of like, you build off each other's energy, right? And I feel like you see somebody else do a goofy voice or they're acting. So, and then you're like, okay, it's a bit of the self-confidence kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas on a Zoom call, I feel, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you're a little bit more removed because you're still in your house, you know, and then you're trying to come up with this voice and you're like, oh, all these cats are looking at me, like 35 people or whatever.
Just through a computer screen.
Yeah, and all eyes are on me right now.
And I've never had the in-person experience, but I'm sure you're right. Because on the Zoom call, it really did feel like, okay, I'm just reading along. And then when it gets to my turn, okay, my turn. And then I just do it. And then, you know, the energy or the movement of it though, admittedly, during my voice, my name is Mr. Brown, and I'm a big roly-poly-oly man. And I did that thing with my chin, too, and everything. And so even on the Zoom call, I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm just going to do the chin thing.
Yeah. You've got to.
They've got to understand, too, right?
Yeah,
you know, that's how I'm getting the voice.
So when you were actually like doing it for the animated film, were you getting to watch the scenes?
No, that's the thing is the scenes would be animated to the voices.
Interesting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how most animated movies are, or do they do the animation before? Do you know?
I don't know.
Kind of
I think it goes both ways. I think like it's been done both ways in that world, but this one in particular was going to be done voices first and then animated to the voices.
I do always like watching like the people doing the voices though, because they all have the persona of the character when they're doing the voice, and then like if you put them side by side, it just looks so perfectly accurate. You know, like, of course you're this character. You know.
Well, yeah, you watch like something like not the Orient Express. What's the one that Americans have? Tom Hanks was in the cartoon version.
Oh, the Polar Express.
Polar Express, and then I watched that, and I was like, dude, I can totally imagine. Then I saw like the behind the scenes of Tom Hanks, and he was like, that's exactly how I imagine Tom Hanks acting this out behind a microphone. You know,
yeah, it's kind of cool to watch.
It's amazing to watch that.
Yeah, I'd love to get another professional experience like that where I get to, you know,
that'd be super
maybe
cool.
A more in-person experience, or where I get to go to their studio and record. That would be so fun.
I actually have a buddy who has a YouTube who does some like animated stuff. I should connect you guys.
That would be awesome.
I used to work with him like way back in the day at when I worked at IBM, and he like I remember him like he was on the beginning edge of YouTube kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
And like I remember him quitting to go do YouTube full time, and this is like this is probably 11 years ago, and I remember being like, what? You can do that? And like it was all like he would animate it himself and do the voice work, and like,
whoa, that's some work.
Yeah, I'll have to set you up with him. He's super cool.
That'd be awesome, man.
So just just to keep it going along those lines, with regards to you got your musical degrees, did you ever have a normal job, quote unquote?
Oh yeah, you know,
like out of college or.
When I was in college, I had some normal jobs. I worked at the bookstore. I also had a job. I loved this job. I worked at a before and after school program for kids at an elementary school. And I had that job for years, and I loved that job. It inspired me to, I told myself, you know, if I didn't do music, I would do elementary ed.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see you being a good elementary school teacher, man.
Yeah. I love working with kids, man. And I feel like I'm good at it. And in lessons, I get to work with a bunch of kids, you know, and I just, I've always been told I was good at that. And I feel good at that. It's funny. A lot of my friends who are also professional musicians, professional teachers, they go, man, I don't like teaching the beginners. I like teaching the advanced stuff. I like teaching the jazz and whatever. I love starting a kid from scratch.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Is it because you get to see them like reaching those small milestones, like getting started?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of all of that mixed in, where it's cool for them to see the milestones hit faster, because kids just pick shit up so quick. I mean, you know, different rates, but and also it's a little easier on me, because then I like know that stuff inside and out. But what's cool is that like I've done it for so long now. I have my own method of how I teach, and I feel like I can just get that across so well to kids. And there's just something about a kid. When kids make those discoveries on their own, it's a lot more fun to watch than an adult making those discoveries.
Right. For sure. It's like some magic, man.
It is. It's so magical, because it's magic for them. Yeah. Whereas for an adult, it's like, this is a machine, or these are buttons I get to press.
I've been learning stuff my whole life. This is so mundane. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah.
There's
that was my job, or a job that I loved was working with kids. And then the bookstore. What else did I do? Trying to think. Other than that, I was just teaching.
Like corporate 9 to 5 or anything.
No, man, I can't do it.
It was always straight.
Yeah.
And that's obviously something that we talk a lot about on this podcast, with it being scared of normal, is like, if you ever did go into that line of work, the 9 to 5, or if you just always, your heart, your passion, your confidence in yourself was always there to know that after college or what have you, then you're a musician. It's a no-brainer, right? You just continue to work on your career, build it, you know?
Yeah, I really I don't like working for other people, if I'm being honest, and nothing against people who do work for other people. Like, we need people in all facets of society. For me, when I'm working for somebody else, it just feels like I'm taking my time to work on their thing, and I know how good I am at my thing, that I just want to be working on that. And I feel like it's already so hard to do. And so the time that I take away from that, I like feel it like viscerally. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good to be like aware of that and know yourself, and kind of know like what is going to make you happy, you know? Because I think, you know, there are so many people that really do thrive in that 9 to 5, and like
Yeah.
knowing that that's not you, or knowing that that is you, is a very important thing, I think, from a young age too.
Well, and also though, you know, there's benefits to all of it, because those people, you know, they get benefits, they get like healthcare, they get
paid every 2 weeks.
They get paid. Yeah. Like I'm like scraping the barrel like all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and but I'd rather be doing that and be working on things that I love and building what I'm building than, you know, the security of it. The insecurity doesn't scare me, you know, it doesn't, or
that's nice.
The lack of security doesn't scare me, I should say, not the insecurity.
What about when it comes to the 29th of the month and you know you've got 2 days to somehow find $1,000 for rent?
Well, maybe I just kind of scrape for some quarters, or
look down the back of the couch.
You know, I'll admit, like, there's been days where like literally maybe I have to sell a piece of gear, or maybe, you know, maybe I do have like, I've like, this has happened quite a bit in the last like half a decade where, you know, as a full-time musician, I have things to go do for a day, and I'm like, you know, I either don't have food at home to take with me for lunch, and I need to buy things around for lunch, or I need to get gas for the day or whatever, and I have a bag of quarters, and that's my money. Like, dude, like literally, that's how it is sometimes. And I mean, that doesn't scare me anymore. I've done it too much.
Dude, I think that's the thing. And that's something that, like, I still go to. So, like, obviously with the winter, my work slows down because I'm mainly mountain bike photographer and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so, but yeah, so a couple of years ago, I would get to that lull and I'd be like, holy shit, I'm fucked. And why am I doing this? I'm going to sell all my gear. I'm going to go back to construction. I'm going to, oh, dude, I want to be a postman kind of vibe. But then, like, it picks back up. So, like, this last year, it came around and I was just like, yep, this is what happens. You know, you should use this time wisely, do something productive. But yeah, I've had times where I've had to have a buddy film and if he's listening, he knows exactly who he is, but he had to like film I was taking him to the airport and then I had to go back up the mountains for a photo shoot. And I was like, he had to fill my van up with gas so I could get him to the airport and then get up to my gig. And then, like, immediately at the gig, it's just like sending invoice in as soon as I possibly can, because I'm like, my bank account is negative right now. Yeah, it's a wild thing, but it does this. Like, I think it's still beautiful having a wee bit of the scaredness to it, you know, because I feel like it keeps me alive a little bit more. Like, being like going through these passionate times of like, because I go through every couple of months, I'm like, F this, I'm selling all my camera gear, blah, 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 you know, and every creative, every artist or whatever you want to call us all, we're all the same, right? We go through those ups and downs and peaks and valleys and stuff. But
it's crazy when the getting's good though. It's good. Like you get some of those corporate gigs and you're like, oh shit,
sick.
You're like, I want to do these all the time.
I'm rich, and then 2 months go by and you're like, oh no,
that didn't go very far. Credit card bills.
I mean, that is the hard part, right? Of like leaving that security and like, you know, the consistency of pay. Like it's all dependent on like how much you want to show up, and like sometimes you can show up every single day for 20 hours a day and like you're still in the shit. So like that's the risk you run, like doing your own stuff.
But like you're saying, going back to it, that is, you'd rather be scraping by, you'd rather have that bag of quarters to buy your food for the day or the gas, just to continue to be able to do what you're passionate about.
Well, and there's something cool about like, you know, now I have an EP that I get to have for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have videos on my channel that I get to have for the rest of my life, and like things that are wholly me that I get to just keep, that I own.
Yep.
Whereas like, you know, I work with lots of other clients, and I've done like, you know, real estate videos for a portion of my life too. And like, cool, I made some real estate videos for this company and now they have that for their life. But that's not mine, you know?
It doesn't speak to you, and like it doesn't create a legacy either, you know? And like
exactly,
that's a very good thing to be aware of as well. It's like, what are you creating with your time? Like, how are you spending your time? And, you know, again, not to knock that like typical 9 to 5, but like you are replaceable in that role. Like that's the hard part about being in a role like that. Whereas if you're pursuing something on your own, like you're creating something that only you can create. And I think there's beauty in that.
There's beauty in that, and there's beauty in whoever hires you when they hire you because they love you and they love your work.
Oh yeah,
that's such a like. There's no other feeling like that. Yeah. Of like someone loves just me, who I am as an artist. That's crazy. Yeah. Like they like my look or my sound or my whatever. Like that's fucking.
It's
cool.
your vibe.
That's super sick. Yeah. Well, I want to jump back to, you were talking about teaching and these milestones. At what point did you reach the milestone of writing your first song?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that was probably years ago. I played in this band called Red Fox Run, and I guess, I'll be honest in saying it was more of a co-write, but I had a song that I brought to the table, and Beautiful is the name of the song. And yeah, that's probably like the first dabble I had in like, I'm writing a song,
That's sick.
And then after that,
how old were you about then? Do you think?
I think I was like 23, 24.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
24. Yeah. Pretty, I mean, by musician standards or artist standards, that's kind of old, and now I'm really old. I'm like almost 32.
Oh my God. So old.
Oh, so old. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably like when it first started. And then I played in a band called 𝙈𝘆𝘆 after that. And we all co-wrote together. And then there were a handful of songs where it wouldn't be written this way legally, but that I wrote, we all had like certain things that we wrote and brought to the table. And and then I would say the first song that I wrote for this project was actually even back during those days too.
That's cool.
So I've had things in my pocket for quite a while. Yeah.
And then is this something that you can you get the initial kind of draft of the song, if you will, and then it takes a couple of years, it takes a couple of months, or is it something that right off the bat you're like, all right, that's it?
It's different every time.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's different every time. And what's crazy too is, that's a question anytime I've been in an interview, like just as a band member with, any kind of interview I've been in. That's how my bands have always answered it, is it's different every time, because it is different every time. And then it's funny how as a solo artist, it's still different every time. Like I don't have my way of doing it. It's still different every time for myself.
That's kind of cool.
And then watching like interviews with other musicians, they all, like most of them will say the same thing too. It's different every time for them. And you guys know Rick Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
He's been all over the place right now. And
I've been watching his stuff. Yeah. So much. Like all of his podcasts recently have been fascinating.
Yeah. And he has this idea about how, the reason you had the idea is because it's time to do it. And if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And it's kind of like, that's how I feel about like songwriting too. Like, I mean, that is about songwriting, but I totally understand that, where it's like, it comes to you and you don't really get to choose. It's just, you're going to pick it out of the air and you get to keep it for a second, and then you get to put it to something. And sometimes it's part of a song and sometimes it's a whole song. Who knows, but it's floating by there.
You're kind of just assembling the pieces.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is true. Like in the way he talks about it too, it's like ideas are so fleeting.
Yeah.
And unless like you can like grab that idea and put it to paper or like write it down somewhere, like have the memory to keep it, like it's gone. And then like you said, somebody else will do it, and like that's a hard thing. Like I know for myself, getting into the business world, like the last like 5 years, like anytime I have an idea, like I'll wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night with the best idea, and I'll have to like pick my phone up and write it down, and then I can go back to bed, but like if you're not doing that, then like those ideas, you'll be driving and you're like, oh my gosh, I have the best idea for a song maybe. And then you get to where you're going, like, shit, what was that idea?
Oh, dude, that's the worst thing. And then, so for me, it's like, because I'll have these images of like that I want an image I want to create in the studio. And I've now gotten to the point, because I always would tell myself, it's like when I was in school, I'd be like, oh, remember that homework's due on Friday, never write anything down. Yeah. And then just by Friday comes around, I'm like, oh, holy shit, I forgot all about this. So yeah, these ideas. Now I'm at the point where I'll pick up my phone. But my problem is my phone doesn't understand my accent and I mumble and everything. So then I'll be driving, note, blah, 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 throw it down on the seat, get to my destination, or I'll look up these notes like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later. And I'm just like, I have no fucking idea what the hell that was supposed to say.
What was I trying
there
to
is
say?
Nothing that I can even pull from that to create a new idea or something. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That when it comes to that though, sometimes I think, you know what? It's meant to be.
It wasn't
that good.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
It was a throwaway.
Sleepover.
Throwaway. So I would like to know, do you see yourself as more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh man, that's a question right there.
Or do you turn it on at different times when you have to?
I think I do turn it on and off. I think you have to have some kind of extrovertedness to get on a stage and, play music in front of people. There has to be a little bit of that.
Yeah. I could never do that. So yeah.
Oh, you could.
No.
You run a podcast in front of millions of people.
It's different.
Millions.
It's different. I've seen some of the audiences you guys have played to, and it's like insane, dude. So,
well, it doesn't take a lot, or I should say, I don't get nervous a lot these days, but there are still times where I get nervous in front of people. Yeah. It's a nerve-wracking thing. Am I more introverted or extroverted? I think, it's just different times, different moods. I feel like there's, substances help in different ways with all of that too. But I would say for the most part, I'm very introverted, more so the older I get. I think I become more introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, the less that I use substances, I'm definitely more introverted. And I think I prefer that too, to be honest. Yeah. Because as an introverted person, but who has been extroverted, I know how to handle people, but I can be calm and be myself and have, I can think through things with myself before I don't know, go out into the world and.
For sure.
Yeah. So
I relate with that a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, after a show, you play to however many people or whatnot, you got all that adrenaline going. What's your go-to after stage? Is it to go lock yourself in a room by yourself, hang out with people?
If I had it my way, I'd go lock myself in a room for sure. If I had it my way, I just feel, especially something that I've noticed actually as a solo musician versus being in a band, like as a solo artist and being the front man, after I get done with a show, I am so emotionally drained, like just more than I've ever been. Where I just get done and I'm because you're thinking about so many things during the show. You're not just I feel like maybe this is just me and what I'm still working through as an artist and my experience level. Like I hope I can get to the point where I can just go up there and do it and not think about it. But while I'm up there right now, I'm thinking about a million different things. I'm thinking about my tuning in my voice. Is the band doing what they're supposed to be doing? Do I look cool?
Yeah. That's a very important one.
Yeah. Just all of it, and then you get done and it's and then you start reflecting on it and it's just it's so much, but so I feel so emotionally drained. I do wish I could go lock myself in a room, but, as a local artist, you have to go and talk with people.
For sure.
You have to go and engage with the fans or potential fans and you have to, you just got to be that guy and that's okay. And I'm okay with that because I do love meeting new people and I love talking with people and I appreciate everyone who comes to the shows. And so I really don't mind that at all, but it is emotionally draining, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that just being up on the stage pin. Like you're saying, there's so many variables that are occurring and you are a dude that is so creative and you like to control so many of those variables. So if something is out of whack or something where you're considering that it could be
well, and there's a piece of that too, or an element to where the letting go, where it's just the band, we rehearsed, they can take care of it. Mm-hmm. It's all you just do your job and you let them do their jobs, and then after the show, I've even on my drive back home one time, I just kept going on and on and on in my head about things. And I had this voice, I feel like it's God saying, you know what, tonight was everything it needed to be. There's no reason to, you can change things later, but tonight was everything it needed to be. Move on.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's good to leave stuff in the rearview mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's already, like you're saying, it's already done.
Yeah.
It's I find myself doing that a lot too, though, where I'm trying to control things that are already in the past. And I'm why am I worried about? That's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But you did mention you're 32, so getting up there in years for sure. And obviously social media has always played a big part. You're basing your career using social media. So obviously, did you have a MySpace page? So obviously, but this is my question. So MySpace page, did you have one?
Oh, yeah.
And was it more personal or was it more of a place? Did you see the opportunity back then to use it as a facilitator to get your music out there?
Oh, dude, I wasn't there at all. No, because that was high school.
Yeah, right.
And then in high school, I was still playing music, a shit ton, but I wasn't on the career path at all. So
yeah,
I wasn't using it like that. And then as soon as I hit my freshman year of college, it was all Facebook.
Right.
It was all Facebook. And so, yeah, I haven't really seen, I think the biggest shift, obviously, and for all of us that I've seen in social media has been the shift from, maybe I was going to say the shift from Instagram to TikTok, but even the shift from Facebook to Instagram, that was a pretty big shift too.
Yeah,
for sure.
So yeah,
it's been weird that we've lived through all these massive like social media shifts, and like they're kind of they do define culture now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like there was a time where Facebook even mattered a lot as a band member or as a musician, where being on Facebook, it was like you needed a like page and you needed to engage people on there, and Facebook just doesn't even matter anymore.
No, that's what I found with my photography. But going back to MySpace, and probably one of the most important questions we're going to ask you in this entire interview, or possibly your entire life, is do you remember what your background was, and do you remember what your song was?
Wow. I remember my background was black. I had some kind of green falling thing. I don't remember if it was code, like some Matrix bullshit or something.
Oh, for sure.
And if I had any songs on there, I don't remember exactly what they were, but it was probably some kind of My Chemical Romance. Or maybe there was like The Used, or maybe even like those old Panic songs. Or something just super
full
MySpacey.
emo.
It's full emo.
Black background, My Chemical Romance. All right, cool. I can go home.
That was a wonderful era, man.
Oh, if you want to ask me too, who's my all-time favorite band, I think it might be My Chem too.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that's not a bad one to pick right there for the favorite.
Well, you guys want to know some bullshit? I really feel like this too. I feel like when I was in high school, or when we were all that age, like it wasn't cool to like My Chem. I don't feel like it was that cool.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden they're back and everyone's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. They're selling out stadiums, and like they were still selling shit out back then, but like it wasn't
to
cool
a different crowd.
And now all of a sudden it's like so cool to be, like reminisce about the emo days, and it's like that was not cool.
Dude, I got
then.
shit kicked out of me because I wore all black and I had long hair and I was 17 years old in the northeast of England. Like I was, and now apparently it's the cool.
Yeah, if you wore any of those band shirts to school, you know, like you just got made. You dressed like anybody in those bands. Like I always wore V-necks back then, like all those dudes. And, like always got made fun of, and like it is funny how that's like. It's so like glorified now. And it's
I know,
like,
dude.
I wish this was the case when I were younger, because I would have been cool as shit.
It makes us tougher though. We get to be cooler when we're older.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's true. Well, I guess we can start moving into like current day career. And I guess at what point were you like, let's take music seriously and I want this to be a career?
Ooh. As a musician, that was in college. It was like, because I think I kind of previously said that I started going for recording arts and recording engineering, and it was in college that I was getting so many opportunities as a player that I added that on, and then I was like, okay, that's what I want to do, and I want to be a player. I want to be a full-time musician and just play. And I thought I could do it, and anyways, started doing that. And then after playing in bands, I thought, oh, those band, with each new band that you're serious about, you think that's going to be the career.
Yeah.
And then, I think it wasn't until I left my most recent band about 2 years ago now, where I was like, I really had to think, I was at a crossroads. Like, do I want to keep going on this route of playing for other people, or do I even want to play music anymore? Or like I have some songs in the tank, and I do love this life and this lifestyle. I could go off and do it as a solo artist. And then if I do it as a solo artist, do I want to do a band? Do I want to like have a band again, or do I want to be just Seth Beamer? And if I'm Seth Beamer, do I want to have another name? Do I want to have a stage name? So there's all these like kind of routes that I could go. And I finally, that was a huge like defining moment in my life where I was like, okay, no, I'm fucking doing this.
Yeah.
And
this is it.
This is it. And so really though, and even when I decided it back then, I still didn't like really start it. And when I saw you last, I think I showed you some music and we were talking about it and stuff, but I still hadn't really started.
Yeah.
Like I kind of was dabbling, but I didn't really start.
Even like a year ago when you did show me that music, you were still like, even the way you were talking to me about it, semi on the fence is how it seemed, like about how you were going to proceed and like if you were going to proceed.
Yeah. And I had like multiple plans about how I was going to I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be an internet band. I'm going to like only release things on the internet. I'll never play a show, and I'm going to do YouTube videos about each one of the songs. And I'm just going to go into the studio and show the process. And it'll like be this whole, I literally had a whole plan. I have it somewhere in my notes about like what each video would be and what each song and what I would talk about and all this stuff. And then, just other things happen.
Yeah.
You don't get to plan it out every time.
I feel like that plan too was kind of derived off of like the craziness that COVID brought too. Like I remember talking about that, like because like at that time it was still kind of uncertain, like whether you would be able to go out and like do shows or what that looked like in the future. So
totally, man. There's an element to that too. But then I think it was once I actually got into the studio and I started recording the songs for reels. That's like I was like, I mean, it was before that too that I knew what I was going to do, but that like really was a cool experience for me, and I took it very seriously. And I even told my producer, I was like, dude, this is the start of the rest of my life right here.
That's so sick.
And so,
that's got to be an insane feeling too. Like committing and knowing that, like having that energy coursing through you has got to be pretty sick.
Yeah, those are heavy words as well. Do you think if you did kind of stick to your plan with regards to just being an internet band and not touring or not going out and playing live shows, would you miss that component of it?
Yeah, and I realized that later. I was like, Seth, that's silly.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, you're not going to go play shows, like, and I don't think I could live without that piece of it as well.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, I guess that kind of like leads me in, you kind of touched on leaving your most recent project 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you poured your heart and soul into that. So did leaving that like kind of taint your approach to wanting to go perform or like create new music?
Yeah, there was definitely an element after that where I was like, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a break, and I need to reassess what's going on here. And, I don't think I did a very good job at taking a break. And then I had a forced break come upon me, which was a blessing. But that was tough. It's really hard to pour your heart and soul into something and then to feel like you don't get a piece of that anymore. It's kind of like working for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
It's like working for someone else, and then it's like, well, you don't own any of that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
a hard
tough.
position to be in, man.
Yeah, it was tough. But the one thing that I took away from that was, you know what? I have the experience.
Yeah.
Like, at least I know how to do this now. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of beauty in having that experience and being able to pick the pieces up and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And like being aware of that is all it really takes is, like you just said, you knew what to do next.
Yeah.
And that's like when you're just getting started in this world, it's hard to like figure out what steps to take, but like you were able to say like, okay, I've done this. Now I just have to do it again. I can do it differently, or we've fucked up by doing this, like let's not do that again.
Right. Well, and what's weird too is, especially in like just any industry of the arts, is like there's no set path, and we're all just kind of scrambling and trying to figure it out. So as much experience as I have, I still don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, no way.
It's like that experience has helped me tenfold. Cause I do know certainly what's not worth doing or worth trying, or what I kind of know how to navigate better, but I'm still in open water. I'm still just trying to figure it out like everyone else. So, but that's exciting too. There's an element of the unknown. And I've always known too, like, no matter what, this solo career isn't going to happen like the rest of my careers have happened. Like, it's going to be different. And, and I think just with social media and what my presence has been on there, and the success I've seen on there, I've already realized, there's something new going on with this time.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Does it feel comforting to know that at this point, like whether you succeed or fail, it's like on you?
Yes.
Like there's not like,
actually, thanks for saying something about that. Cause I really do. Yes, absolutely. 100%. And I respect it more, and I'm so much more excited about what I'm doing now than I've ever been before, because I know that it all falls on me.
Yep.
And there's something so cool about that, where I can fail and it's on me.
Yeah. It's a high level of accountability, because
Yeah.
it is very easy. Like, even if you do fuck up, like when you are dealing with a partnership or with other people, it's easy to point the finger and be like, hey, you fucked up, but it's like, it's hard to look back on yourself. And when you're the only one to look at, it's like, okay, well, I'm accountable for all of this now. So,
well, and it just makes decision making so much easier too. Like, it's like, you don't have to, there's no stepping on eggshells. There's no egos. There's nothing. It's just all, what do I want to do? What feels right?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be as an artist? And I don't know. There's something just so freeing and so cool about that. And it's scary too. It's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, and fucking daunting too.
Yeah. It's all of it.
Well, there's, I think, a lot of freedom in being able to move quickly by making decisions quickly, you know, and you can figure out what works or what doesn't work a lot more rapidly that way.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, when you're kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what the formula is.
Yeah.
And you like almost make it too perfect and you spend too much time on it. And then if it doesn't work, it's like, well, I could have done 10 things in the time I did the one.
Along those lines, and scared of more normal lifestyles, you know, being able to make decisions fast. I feel like I can make those decisions fast because I'm working on things all the time too. And I make my own schedule. If I didn't make my own schedule and I was working on this just at the end of my shift or whatever, I wouldn't be able to make those fast decisions and be able to work and get as far along as I have, like, you know, as fast as I have. Certainly. Because, you know, it just takes so much time and effort to even make those decisions. So.
And you're fully immersed in it. So you're able to see the whole thing from like a top level view. Whereas like you're saying, like if you were working a shift and then you're coming home and working on it at the end of the day, like you're still decompressing from doing that 9 to 5 work and you're not fully immersed in your work. Like that's a hard place to be. Yes. Like I remember when we first started Traction, like that was the world we were living in. Like I was working 60 hours a week and then like driving up to Lyons, which is where our roastery was at the time. And like, it'd be like an hour drive there and back. And like, I wouldn't get home till 2 a.m. and I would do that every day, you know? And it's like things were getting missed and like, we weren't as like fluid as we should be. And now being able to be immersed, it's like the amount of ground we've covered in that time has been so crazy compared to like the first 2 years. So
it creates mental clarity for sure in what you're doing when you can just like, that's number one.
Certainly.
That's all you think about.
I think that there's also the beauty of like having that first shift and then going to do this. It's like, it really challenges like how passionate, how much do you really fucking want this dream? It is to have that like, okay, I was at the bike shop all day, or I was working at Hotbox or what have you, you know, and then like, okay, at night, I'm sending out these emails, I'm editing these pictures, I'm doing et cetera, or whatever. And it is just the like, I at least for me, you hit that wall where you're like, do I really fucking want this? And then when you like push through, you're like, fuck yeah, I want this, you know, and then just to keep building. So I got a lot of props for the people that are able to do, or to branch from having the 9 to 5 and then work their way into this
commitment.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that both ways just work tremendously. And
and
it always comes down to what is your willpower, what's your drive, how much do you fucking want this?
You know, I'm very thankful that I have the opportunity to be able to have the space to be fully immersed in this. I'm very thankful for that.
It's a unique spot to be because you know, a lot of people do have the talent and the work or the work ethic, but some people just don't have the right hand at that moment, you know, and like that's a hard thing to see too. Like when you see somebody who does kill it and they can't be fully immersed, that's a hard place to be. So So when did you officially launch your self-titled project?
Oh, that's a good question. I had August 5th of last year, I had a debut show, and I remember on July 5th, the 1 month before it, I announced that show, and that's when I announced that I'm doing it. And then I had the first show, and the whole point of that first show was so that I could get these songs ready for the studio, because I had a friend who was like, yo, you can't go into the studio without playing these songs live. Like, you
really?
Yeah, which was very good advice. I really appreciate that he said that. And yeah, so that's why the show happened, when played the show, and then went right into the studio the next month. And then I think, you know, that was like announcing, hey, I'm an artist and whatever, but then putting out the first song, The Runaround, in December, that was like, what's up, y'all?
Really cementing it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's catchy. I had that on repeat. Also, I'm going off on a tangent as usual, but we need to talk about Spotify. I can't make Spotify work on my phone. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. What was it? I wanted to go back to your mate that said you need to go play these live before the studio. Why? Like, what is that?
There's something about like the energy and the reciprocation of people, because you could think all day long that you got some good shit, but then you go play it for people. Perfect. And they're like,
right on.
It's just a flop. Yeah.
And you can feel it, man. You can feel the energy shift. And, you know, all that to say though, I don't want to go too far into it. I could just talk all day about the energy on stage and how many elements there are to that. And so, yes, that is true that I needed to go play it in front of people. There's also so many other things that went into it. So But yeah, I think that was great advice to go play.
Yeah,
in
no, it totally makes sense.
And honestly, I just felt very thankful that the ones that I wanted to take in were the ones live too. It was like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense.
Nice.
So
that's cool. And people reacted well that first show, and they were stoked.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was, your first show. There's a lot of friends there, so they're stoked on everything. But
right,
for sure.
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit, but going back and forth between naming it, having it be a self-titled project or like having a persona. Did you have any like persona names that you were going to run with?
Dude,
Can you rattle a couple off for us? I'd love to hear them.
We need the most embarrassing one because you can tell there was a couple bad ones.
No, so it's only one actually.
It's
only one, and I almost went by Hunter Thankless.
Ooh,
Hunter Thankless.
I kind of like that though.
And if you guys want to know where I got it,
yeah, obviously.
So, Childish Gambino, he said that he got his name on the Wu-Tang Clan generator. And so I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna go try that. So that's where I got it. I got.
That's funny, dude. Yeah. That's awesome.
And it is a cool name. Yeah. And I own the Instagram handle still. So
yeah, maybe down the road that's a persona that you roll out.
I know. I was thinking that, or maybe it's like a song or something. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, Hunter. But also, there's so many hunters, like especially Colorado, and what kind of like if you listen to my music, does it sound like a hunter? Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can already just picture the persona, like the yellow framed sunglasses, like
I was thinking like a brim hat and like a
little feather.
Dude, I was thinking exactly how you look when you said hunter. I was like, yeah, that fits perfectly.
Oh,
you're good
nice.
right now. Yeah,
oh good.
I like the hunter one.
I actually, growing up, I have been told Seth Beamer is like, oh, Seth Beamer, you got like a rock star name. Like that sounds like a rock star.
It is. I wouldn't.
And I even had a buddy a buddy who we've just recently started hanging out a lot more, making music together, and he like asked me, he was like, so I gotta ask, is Beamer like a stage name or is Beamer like your real name? I was like, no, it's my real name. He's like, oh, that's sick.
I mean, I remember growing up, like I think this was on MySpace. Your last name on there was Seth BMW for a really long time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And so I never knew it was actually Beamer. And then like when Facebook came around, I always thought the same thing. I'm like, is that actually his last name? Like I just didn't know. So
yeah, people.
That's kind of funny.
I did get that a lot growing up too. Yeah, the BMW. They're like, so it really is Beamer? Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, you went from launching the career in August of 2022.
Yeah.
And then released your first single in December of 2022. And that led you right into winning Hometown for the Holidays 93.3's event here in Colorado.
Yeah.
What did that look like? That's a huge accolade right there to just like come out of the gate swinging, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Very fortunate, very thankful to 93.3 and just to the community and for supporting the song. And I would be lying if I said that wasn't a goal of mine. I certainly went into it going, I want this. I want this competition, and I want this to be a cool starting off point for me. And I want to prove it to myself too, because I've won that competition before with my band Wilderness, and that's cool and all, and what a great experience. But it's like, okay, can I regenerate this on my own? And I could. So getting to do that, it was a great opportunity for me to get to build more fans and to be on the radio and to, maintain that relationship with 93.3 and all of that. But more than anything, it was so I could tell myself, you are meant to do this. Like because after everything I've been through, it's like, am I even supposed to be a musician? Am I good enough? Am I worthy? And so I think more than anything, it just told me, yeah, no, you got this, Seth. Yeah.
That's cool.
So how does that competition work? Is that something that you apply to be in? Do you have to do trials ahead of time? Like how did you get into that competition?
So you just submit it to 93.3. They open submissions, and then they have a panel of a bunch of, I should say it's not really a panel, it's more of like a room full of industry professionals from the city or from the state. So a bunch of like different talent buyers and booking agents and radio people and, blogs and different venue owners, things like that.
Yeah.
Industry professionals, they all get in a room and then they vote on all of them. There's like something like 100 or over 100, submissions, and then they whittle it down to 10, and then they put the 10 on the radio for a week. And then the music nerds, they call them, if you're signed up to be a music nerd, who those are people who like vote on their music throughout the year. for who they'd have, new artists come, or new songs, new artists come on the radio. They get to choose like the winners. And so they announce after a week the top 3, and then the top 3 go and play a show, and they already know who won, but then they announce the winner at the show.
Oh, so the
people get to vote for the top 10.
Yeah,
right. They whittle it down to top 10, and then the people
then
vote.
They
for
know
the top
first
10.
through 10.
The listeners or what have you. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah.
Did you know going into it? Were you like confident that you won, or were you like, I don't know?
I didn't know. I felt pretty good, but you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And if I wouldn't have gotten it, it would have been okay. The other guys were so good too.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's like,
yeah, it seems
you
like
can't
this year
complain.
was like a really, like the top 3 were all insane,
Yeah.
like,
and One Flew West icons,
Yeah.
Denver icons, those guys. So good to be in their presence and at the table with them. But and Sophie Gray kills it too. I mean, they all just are so good. So I wouldn't have been surprised at all if I didn't get it. But man, I was hopeful. So yeah.
And then
cool.
Did you see an immediate uptick, maybe not from the competition, but that whole period of your music getting played on the radio, like an uptick in your social media and your following and everything like that?
Definitely, yeah. And after that show, I saw a huge spike in my Spotify numbers. And I think it's because they had this band, the Driver Era, who played and headlined. And I don't know if you guys know them, but this guy, Ross Lynch, and he's like a Disney Channel kind of star, and he has this band now. And so like they headlined, and so of course there's a bunch of teenage girls who came to the show, and
no kidding.
yeah, and which is so funny because they don't know who any of these local acts are. They didn't come
they're
for that.
just stoked to watch music and watch him. Yeah.
But it made for a really fun audience. And then of course, afterwards they all just went on their social media pages and Spotify, and I'm sure the rest of the bands, I'm sure they got a big bump too because of that. So cool audience. And yeah, I definitely saw a big bump from that. And my Shazams went up because I was on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the bump in plays from the people at the show, because I saw a bump after that night. And then after that, I saw myself getting put on more playlists on Spotify. So I think that bumped the Spotify algorithm.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's just weird how it all kind of trickles into itself.
Right. And then the idea is to keep that ball rolling one way or another,
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah, I don't know how to fucking do it.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. And I know a lot of people are spending money to figure it out. And that's one thing that I just don't want to do right now. I want to do it organically and figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's so much more impactful to do it organically too. We've talked a little bit about like actions that are soulful and projects that are soulful. So like continuing that through with like, hey, I want this project to work because it's soulful, not because I have a pocketbook, is like pretty cool.
I know, dude. Yeah. Well, and what's cool too is not just like the fans and the streams that I got and the numbers, but also like just the community who like, for instance, after that, Digital Mile Media, they were like, hey, we love your song. We want to do a music video with you. Like opportunities coming up out of it that have nothing to do with the streams, Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, now I have this cool relationship with this production company, and now I'm making other music videos with them. And it's like, it just kind of trickles into just more relationships in the industry. And I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
And again, the networking.
Yep.
Like going back to college.
Yeah. And the first music video just came out, right?
The first
2 weeks ago.
The first video came out a couple weeks ago, and we were like, "Oh, let's get that one out before the next one." We got the next music video is coming out tomorrow. So,
it's tomorrow.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Oh,
sick.
I'm so excited for it, dude. Because you just dropped that new single, right?
Yep.
And
Perfectly Impossible.
Perfectly Impossible. Yeah. And on Spotify, you can see like the little GIF of like the teaser of what the music video I'm assuming is going to be.
Yeah.
And I watched that when the song came out, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be a sick music video.
Yeah. Well, I guess I bet this podcast will be out after the video's out, so we can talk about it. So the cool thing is, the whole premise is that I get called into work, because in the Runaround video, I get called into work at the end of the video.
Yes.
And so the second video now is I'm at work, and I'm like, fuck this boss. I can't stand that I'm at work. I got this shitty boss, and I'm doing just copying papers. And
this was going to be one of my questions, because I was like, talk about the music video. I was just like, well, did you go to work or did you go hang out with a chick? And you just answered it. So
so I had to go to work, and anyway, so each time I'm requested with more work, I'm like, I just have this vision of like, beating up my boss or quitting or throwing papers and stuff. And then by the end of the video, I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. We're going to do it. And so I end up, trashing the whole place. And then my boss comes in and I think he's going to like get mad at me, but then he ends up joining in. And so at the end of the video, we're just trashing the whole room. And it's so funny because we had such a blast making this music video. And I kind of want to get into the story behind this music video if we got time.
Please.
But it was funny to like buy all these things for the music video and then just immediately trash all of them. I felt so guilty.
Were you going to like Goodwill to get this stuff, or were you buying new stuff?
No, I tried to get Goodwill as much as I could. There was like, I bought paper new and like things like that because it's cheap. But otherwise it was all used. But still, you buy things and then like the printer especially, it's like working and I use it in the video and it's like, okay, the shot's done, now hit it. And then you get like a hit at it and then it's already broken.
Yeah.
And then that's it, So,
one take, that one.
I know that one was like one take and then the rest is just trashing it. So, but it was such a blast to get to, I don't know, just make a video like that where you just go crazy,
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful we found a place that we could do it because here's the story. My original idea was that I wanted to do it at a convenience store. And I wanted, like, before I had any other ideas about videos for the Runaround or anything else, for this song in particular, I've had this video idea where I wanted to have it at a convenience store. We'd walk in, we'd stick up the guy at the counter, the guy would leave. And then the whole video, we're just trashing the convenience store, and just in the aisles and popcorn and chips and soda on the ground and all of that. Oops. And then at the end of the video, the cops would show up and then who knows what happened, right? But that's like the fun of the video. And I bought shelving and everything that we could build a set to make a convenience store, and we couldn't find a location that would let us do it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And so we kind of had to get crafty. And then I was like, one of the directors, he was like, we have this other space, there's offices. He's like, I don't know if we can use any of this or try and set it up and make it look a certain way. And then just, we were like, you know what, let's just make it an office scene instead. And then through that's how it kind of got tied to the Runaround video. It's like, okay, in the Runaround video at the end, we're going to end up going to get called into work. And so it all kind of worked out, but that's the artistic process, man. You just kind of have to go with the flow.
I love that. Yeah. You got to just trust the process and what's coming, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny. Like the process of making these videos has been very similar to songwriting, where songwriting, a lot of times I just go, what, the song is going to tell you what it wants to be. Like you let the song will guide you, it'll become what it wants. And so these videos have been really the same way.
That's super cool. I love like the backstory to it. So is there going to be, like
Good
you said,
question.
you're coming out with a third song, April 5th, right? So is there going to be another music video that follows up this one?
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Nice.
I love it, dude.
I'm still in the creative process as far as that goes. This has all been very like quick because like I said, I made this relationship with this production company right after Hometown. And so, and I wanted to get these songs out, and I'm not going to wait on releasing these songs because I want to like get the videos done and then have everything ready to go. Cause I just want to keep rolling as an artist and I have more things I want to put out and more songs I want to create. So it's like, okay, well, these are the dates that we're going to release the songs. How do we make videos happen by then? And then that's what we're doing. So, we're still in the creative process about that third video, but we'll see what happens, man. Does he get the girl? Who knows?
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait.
Well, if you ever need a 3-foot disco ball, man, we've got one for you.
Dude, I saw that. It's so wild. Oh, it's
we
fun.
got an indoor space here. You're more than welcome to use any of our stuff. So
I probably should have hit you up about your warehouse to set it up like a convenience store.
Yeah. I mean, I love what ended up transpiring anyways. I'm so excited for tomorrow to see that video. And if you're listening or watching this right now, I'll go ahead and link both those music videos in the episode description as well, so you can go check them out.
Heck yeah.
So, well, talking about all the fun stuff that's happened up until now with your new solo career, what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing, and like how are you kind of looking at how you can overcome those hurdles?
Oh man, what challenges haven't I been facing, man? It's all been challenging.
Yeah,
it's been challenging managing relationships with members or musicians that I hire. It's been challenging managing like money and how I'm going to continue to fund this project. It's been tough to manage like what's shows and how I'm going to build an audience that way, or how I'm going to continue building an audience online. It's like it's all very fluid right now, and like I said, I'm out in open waters and trying to figure it all out. And I think what's the biggest one, I couldn't pinpoint it. it's all been difficult because it's all new territory for me.
Certainly.
But yeah, I think all of those things right there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to be kind of trying to manage in a fluid state. Like,
yeah.
It's a lot of variables to control. So.
Well, and I'm very thankful to have a team and have some guys helping me. And I have, like legal team, and I have management, and that's it right now. And hopefully, it'd be great to have booking. Booking is a huge one, because right now it's either I ask to be a part of shows or submit to be a part of shows, or I get asked to be a part of shows. And I've been very fortunate that people have been asking me to play shows, which is just
that's really
awesome.
cool.
So, I actually have shows coming up with people I'm really excited to play with. So
this month, right?
I
saw you just announced a new one too.
Yep. So I have a show this month. I'm playing next week. I'm opening up a solo, or I'm opening up as a solo act for The Missing. But I'll be at Broadway Roxy on the 17th.
17th of February.
February,
Okay,
yep.
yeah.
And then March 24th, I just announced I'm opening up for Electric Animals at Lost Lake. So that'll be a fun one. Those guys
I love
are rad.
the Lost Lake too. That's like one of my favorite venues, man. I love that place.
Oh man, I've the amount of times I've played Lost Lake, I should be an honorary.
Yeah, I've seen you play. I've seen you play there like 3 or 4 times, so I'm sure it's been a lot.
Yeah, but no, it's a good spot. Great, like iconic spot, of course. And then I'm also playing Black Buzzard the month after that, opening up for a buddy, and then hopefully I just got like a summer series this summer that I just signed a contract on, and hopefully some more festival things, and I'm just taking it as it comes. So yeah.
Going back to the hurdles and everything like that, is there anything in the last, like, let's say, year that you would like, holy shit, if I could do that again differently, what would it be? Is there anything like that, or are you somebody that's like, well, it is what it is, no regrets, I'm gonna keep moving on? Like specifically with regards to like, I know your music career is your life, but with your music career, or like with how you're getting these songs out, is there anything that you did that you're like, okay, that's a learning, I need to redo that differently next time?
Some things that I probably wouldn't get too far into, but legally, like how to handle relationships with musicians and contracts and players and things like that. Although I did all the recording on these records. I don't know if we said that, but so I played everything, but I did have other musicians in the room, and so contracts have to be involved with other musicians in the room, whether they're on it or not. And I that was a huge learning experience, I would say, right there. Another small one is like how to release it as an EP, but release them as singles before you do that. Like how you upload them to Spotify, like you can either upload it. It's so weird, man. Like you can upload things to Spotify as singles or as an EP. And what you could do is you can upload them as singles, and then once they're all out, you can re-release them as an EP with all of their little codes. Or you could upload it all as an EP, but then delete it all. And now you have all the codes. And so you upload them as singles with the codes, and then they slowly build up to being an EP. And they all show up in a fun, fancy way on Spotify. So it's just like, figuring out, how do I want to do that next time? Because right now I'm just uploading them as singles, even though technically they're all a package,
Yeah.
Is there any planning or like strategy that's going into the days that you're releasing them as well?
I just choose Wednesdays. I think the middle of the week is the best time.
Yeah.
Right now, there's, when I was in college, it was like, it's every Friday or every Monday.
Every Tuesday, wasn't it?
Or like, Tuesdays,
It was Tuesdays for every album or something to drop. Yeah.
Yeah. And nowadays, I don't think there's really any set day. It's just whatever feels good to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of like what the internet has done, right? But I like that middle of the week, like things kind of lull out for the most part. And
even just social posts. I'm sure you guys have probably noticed on your own social media. If you post about something on a Friday, it doesn't get as much attention because people are getting off work. They're doing their thing, So in the middle of the week seems like a good time.
I feel like Fridays too, especially for music, that's when like usually big artists drop stuff that I see like all the time on Spotify. It's always like a new album on a Friday. So probably not, or good to not get lost in the noise of that.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent about this, but I just watched a documentary and I can't remember the name of it, but it was about this dude who something.com, like he changed his name to .com. He was one of the first dudes, and he had this, before Napster was Napster, he had like big, I think it was called mega file sharing or mega sharing or something like that. But what they were talking about is that basically he was like every copyright thing you could imagine breaking, he was breaking them with regards to the music industry. So this is back in Napster time, right? So Metallica's going apeshit, everything like that. And one of the things to take away from it was how much the industry has changed to allow people, like, so we're not releasing everything on a Tuesday anymore. Yeah. And we can stream things, whether it's a movie, whether it's a new song or anything like that. And I feel like it's just opened the doors so much for artists like yourself that you're not trying to get the attention of some big MGM or some big Roadrunner Records or something like that. It's like, hey, I want to do this, and I'm going to do it on myself. Yeah. So, like, how do you feel like if you'd come along 10 years prior, 15 years prior? How do you think? I mean, we can't really say, like, how would you have done it differently, because we have no fucking idea. But
man, I think back then it would be, we've already talked about how important networking is. It would be even more important back then.
Yeah.
Like having a team and having people to help you and having,
who are you rubbing elbows with, man?
Exactly. Like, I think it's a blessing that right now we can just like put things out and, everyone has access to everything now. But yeah, I think that's probably how I wouldn't approach releasing something until I either had a label or management on my side about it, and maybe 10 years ago, that's still a little bit too internety to, that I probably still could have done it independently, but any sooner than that, then I think, we're looking into rubbing shoulders for sure.
For sure. Well, I think it's cool talking about like the different ways you can upload to Spotify, because I have seen that with so many artists where like, they'll release them as a singles and those will disappear, and then the whole album or the EP will come out, or like different variations of that. And I've always wondered like if there is the strategy to that, or if it's just like how they're personally doing it. But it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, if it's a mistake, like in an Instagram post where you edit it and then it like puts you down at the bottom of the algorithm or whatever the hell it does. If that's a thing in Spotify, like if you upload an EP and then delete them to upload the individual singles, are you hitting the algorithms better doing it that way, or are you going to be hitting it? Like, I don't even know if that's a thing.
Algorithmically, I don't know. That is a good question, but I do know this. I do know that you have a code with every song, right? And that code is attached to that song. And so if you re-upload a song, then you have to re-upload it with that code.
Interesting.
And they say you might keep your streams. You should be able to keep your streams, but they don't guarantee it.
Oh.
And I'm like, dude, what?
That's weird.
That's so sketchy.
Yeah. For a platform that is that massive to be like, maybe.
I know.
Good luck.
I know. That's how I feel. I'm like, because I emailed them about it and everything. I was like, hey, I see people are doing it this way. Like, how can I do it? Is there like a more straightforward way? They're like, no, that's just basically people figured that out, and you could try and re-upload things, but good luck. And I was like, wow, you guys, okay.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking, we've talked about the third song of this EP coming out. Are you planning to start working on an album? Are you already working on a full album? What does that look like for you?
No, I'll be honest, I don't have any plans on a full album right now.
Yeah.
I think that's down my career path.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just excited about recording singles, and I'm really still in the discovery process about who I am as an artist. And I will say this, though, that a lot of these, all three of these songs that I've put out are more either upbeat or poppy or a little bit more aggressive. I want to do something softer, because I really lean into that a lot in my writing, even though, the recordings don't have that. But I want to record something that's a little bit more, I guess just soft and more like heartfelt. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Heck yeah. Do I remember at one point in time you getting on stage and doing a hip hop
man
act?
When was this?
This was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think. Maybe 5 years ago at this point.
I used to have a rap that I rapped all the time. I can rap it right now.
Oh, please do it.
My name's Seth 𝙎𝘾𝘼, and I'm better than Wheezy. I'm hitting on all the moms because they're so damn sleazy. I said they're so easy. They make me mac and cheesy, and they make it so good that they make it on the weekly. Bitch.
Yes.
I love it.
It's been a while since I said that one. Yeah. That's so funny.
I forget what show it was, but I remember that happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Man, yeah.
So are we ever going to hear a Seth 𝙎𝘾𝘼 hip hop track?
Maybe, dude.
That could be fun.
What's funny is I've been, I love 21 Pilots. Like, I love them. And I've been thinking, "Man, why don't I have a cover of theirs in my set?" So I was learning some songs the other night, and I was like, oh man, there's not a lot of songs that don't have a rap in them.
Yeah.
And so I was like kind of trying to rap along with them, and we'll see. Maybe that'll be my gateway, my little door into the rap world.
I love it, man. Well, I think this is a good segue to talk about like the studio. Like, what does that process look like when you're hanging in the studio? Like when you're developing new sounds or songs?
A lot of it happens before I hit the studio. I would say, like, I'm very fortunate to have my own space where I can record and do that and come up with ideas on my own. And then the way that it has worked with this last EP anyways, and will probably continue to work, is I would email back and forth with my producers and just say, hey, like, here's these ideas. What do you guys think? Or here's a song. What do you guys think? And then they'll send back their ideas. And then I'll send them back an idea off of that. And they'll send back, we'll just go back and forth until finally we get to pre-production day and I go into the studio and we just hash things out for a scratch track and for a final form and final, parts and everything, or at least a general idea. And then the next time we get together, we'll be actually recording. And then when we're in the studio to record, it's not hangout time. It's work time.
Business.
Right? Yeah, it's business. We're there to work. And
is studio time pretty expensive? Is that why you're going in there and just like, we're not friends right now. We're working.
Well, and there is like something about like making those quick decisions. Like, it feels good. It feels, you just, no, we're here to make decisions. And we just do it. And, we're not hanging out, dude. It is expensive. We don't got the time. And also not even just the studio time and the studio rate, but like our time. Like my producers don't have all time in the world to just like hang out and work with me. It's like, no, they've got other people they're working with too. And like, I've got other things to do. And this is the time that we set aside and we're going to we're going to go and do it.
Yeah. That's super cool.
I guess, as an outsider, I never really saw that much pre-planning with regards to it. I kind of had that romantic idea of like, you come into the studio, you got it for 12 hours or for the day or what have you, and then it's just like, all right, let's work on it now.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, going emailing back and forth, and then even having a pre-production meeting.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of surprising to me.
Well, and I think different people do it different ways. And I think especially back in the day, like Fleetwood Mac, they were just getting tanked in the studio and having fun and creating, and I think that was at a different time when like a label's paying for it and they're, just go and make a record. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
And I've also toured with guys where we had this talk and they were like, oh, so you guys play songs like before you go and record them? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, we never do that. Oh, we only ever go right in the studio and then we could play it live after.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's like so foreign to me. Like I feel like you have to play it, but so everyone does it differently.
For sure.
That's just how it is. And for me though, I think I like that process of let's get down to business and let's work together because I'm just that way anyways. So
right.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Where are you like finding inspiration to create new music or write songs? Like, where does that come from?
Oh man, just life, man. Everything. But really it's just like hardships, I'd say. Hardships in life. And it's funny, I think the things I used to write about and the hardships that I used to write about in my early 20s or in those early bands was a lot more immature than the hardships that I write about now. And it's as my hardships get more mature, so does my music,
Yeah.
And so it's all connected. But mostly that. I would say I get a lot of inspiration from just problems and I write about God a lot and I write about substance a lot. I write about family. I write about I don't know, sometimes too something will just pop in your head, a phrase, and it has nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then a whole song will come from it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And
I think that's back to that, I'm sorry, what's his name? Rick Rubin. It's back to that whole like, oh, it's just like kind of floating there and you have to grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
Well, you can like, I talk about this a lot with business, but like you get to create your own utopia with business. So when an idea like that floats into your head, you can almost like create a utopia through a song, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like your own like world, even if you haven't experienced it or lived it, you can like, I would assume probably through writing it, you're kind of like feeling the emotion of like what you're writing.
I will say that's one thing in my writing that I don't do a lot of is I don't write things that aren't like, I don't make things up. I don't usually do that. And I know there are writers out there who will just like create a story or create something. I'm not really that, I don't know. I'm not that kind of guy. I usually, if I'm writing about it or I say it, it has to do with something.
That's cool. Yeah, you have to have experience in that somehow.
Do you think that there's going to be a time in your future, or has there been, that you've written about something that, like you say, is true, and it's going to either offend, upset, you're talking about maybe ex-partner, or you're talking about something that's happened in your life, and do you ever have any concern that you're going to do that? You're going to offend somebody when they listen to the record? They're going to be all like, oh shit, I know who that person, I know that song's about me. Maybe not to that degree, but
I don't think I'm going to offend anyone. And if I do, get over yourself. I don't know.
Okay. No, sick.
Not to be a dick about it, but like, yeah, I don't, I'm a musician, man, and think songs are going to be written. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if you think it's about you, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. You don't know.
If the shoe fits, man.
Yeah. But that's kind of leads into a broader talk and image about songwriting and what songs are about, because ultimately I can write a song about anything, but at the end of the day, it's not mine anymore once I release it. It's the world's, right?
Interesting.
And you can take that song and you take that song and you listen to it and you can interpret it however you want. And it's meant to fit your mold however you see fit. So, and I really do believe that. I don't take any, it's funny, when I was in Wilderness, we would always get asked by our manager, we need a like a little tag about this song. We need a little blurb. We need a little paragraph about what the song's about. And I used to hate writing them, because I just thought, this is bullshit.
Right.
Like, it's not, that doesn't mean anything. And I know fans love to, there are a lot of fans who love to know about that, about an artist. But for me personally, I really feel like who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what it's about for me? It's what it's about for you.
Yeah. What does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so interesting. And then to tie into that, so I was talking with, we've got a videographer friend, 𝙈𝘾𝘼 Powers, and through a number of conversations with him, he's told me about, he loves to film music videos because he can do whatever he wants. Like, it doesn't have to relate to the song. Do you want your music videos to tell the story of that song? Like, now you're saying, like, once that song goes out, how it's affected, how Mike hears it and what that means to Mike. But when you watch the music video, is that the meaning behind the song, or is that whatever it may be?
And now we're getting really artsy, because the music video, in my opinion, doesn't have to have anything to do with the song.
Okay, right.
It can be its own thing.
I love that approach. I kind of hate when the music videos line up with songs.
Yeah, like, I almost don't like how in the Runaround, it's about a girl giving me the runaround. Like, I almost don't like that aspect. Yeah, because
that's pretty on point, it seems like.
Yeah, and it just happened. We're coming up with stories, and how do we get into the trashing the place scene? And it's like, okay, what makes sense for this? And just artistically, like, something that Farmer, my manager, he says, like, this phrase he said one time that stuck with me, and I've told him this too, but he said, like, path of least resistance. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense just artistically. And so sometimes, it's like, okay, what makes the most sense for this right now?
Yeah.
And that made the most sense, that story. And I don't think it's a bad story. I don't think it's a bad video at all. I think it turned out great. But
I thought it was great, because
thanks.
It's real. Well, it's so real.
I love that it builds too.
Yeah.
Like saying, like, yeah, it kind of mirrors what the song is, but then there's a storyline to it with the next video. And I think that there's depth to that,
Totally.
So that's really cool to me.
But yeah, I don't think it needs to reflect the song. I think at any point, all of these are just opportunities to be an artist, and you can do whatever you want with it, and that's just more another way to have fun.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, that's why, like, I love geeking out on the music videos, because, like, you can tell, like, there is a whole different approach to creating that than there was to the song in most cases, and I think that's, like, a really cool thing. So
totally, man. Yeah, totally. I will say, can I say one thing too? And I love to say this
certainly
whenever I'm talking about this topic about writing and what it means and all of that, because a lot of times people will say, when you write, I don't write music for other people, I write music for me. And so I think we're tying a little bit into that right now about, like, well, I'm just making it for me. And it's like, well, I don't like looking at it like that. And it's there's a line there of making it for you versus making it for someone else, and what it means to you and what it means to them. But I look at this artistic process as, a gift. And I had a professor in college who said one time, during all those floods, he was like, if you guys want to give back to the community anyway, go play a show. He goes, that's how you can give back. Music is an offering, it's a gift. And it really stuck with me. And to take it even a step further, I think about this as a gift. It's a handmade gift for your audience. And if you were to hand make a Christmas gift for somebody, would you hand make them something only you cared about? Or would you hand make them something for them, but that has your touch on it?
Yeah.
And
it'd be tailored to them for sure.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about making art and making music is like, yeah, I'm making it how I want to make it, but I'm making it for the world, you know?
Yeah.
You're making it with a consumer in mind, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not to say like that's all that matters, but you know, that there's, you know, I want it to be good.
Yeah.
If it was only for me, I'd just put out shitty music all the time. So
stuff that you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like springing off of that, you know, what is I guess what at this point in your life inspires you to show up at like 100% and strive to grow and do, you know, one up yourself every day? Because it seems like there's a lot of that going on right now. And that's inspiring to me.
Or other days where you just like, I can't put in 100% right now. I'm bummed out.
Oh, there's definitely days like that. And then you just got to suck it up. You just listen to, what's his name? 𝙎𝘾𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬. you just suck it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get it together, kid.
But I think what inspires me is not only how much I care, but a real fire under my ass is how quick people are to forget.
Oh my God. Yes.
People will forget about you in an instant. And that puts a fire under my ass. You know, it's like, what are you doing today? What are you posting? How are you engaging with people? It's all about how much is your face in front of that person, you know? And so it's a game, you know, but you got to play it. And
that's really cool. Yeah. It's cool to think about staying top of mind and how you stay relevant to people because the world is so noisy. And like you said, if you're not aiming to be at the top of mind, like you will be replaced by the next person who is filling that void, which can be really shitty, but also very motivating. That's a brilliant way to look at it.
Yeah. So. Well, and I got a long ways to go still too, just for myself. So like, that's motivating too. It's all encompassing. It's all like, well, I need to stay on top of mind with people and I'm also not where I want to be yet. So why am I not making something today?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the fire.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I think as we kind of start moving into wrapping this up, is there anything that you want to cover that we've missed along this journey?
I don't know. I think we've covered a lot, you guys.
Yeah, this has been super fun, man.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else I want to cover. This has been pretty awesome to get to spend this time with you guys. So thank you for having me. And thanks for supporting the music and all that.
Yeah, certainly. We've got a couple more questions. The biggest ones of the show, I think. These are the ones I enjoy asking the most because they do require some like looking in. So the first one being, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self any piece of advice, what would it be?
Chill out.
Oh,
heck
nice.
Yeah. Chill out, man. It's like you're good, dude.
Have the patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just keep hustling.
Yeah. Just keep hustling. And, I don't know, man. It's like, oh, I could have done this. But no matter what, I'm here at this place because I did all that, you know?
That's it, right?
And so it's like, I don't want to tell myself not to do all of that because who knows what else would have happened if I would have the opportunities now. And I think it all happens for a reason. So I think it's just, you know, just chill out, just have patience. And, you're not the only one who has to go through bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, do you have any parting words for anybody listening that is looking to follow a similar career path?
Yeah. Any parting words? Well, I don't know why I feel so heavy about this right now.
It's it can be very heavy. That's why.
You know, I think it's again just like chill out. Like you'll just keep working at it. Like and don't have any expectations. Just work and love what you're doing. And I think anybody who wants to go down this path, just know that you're going to eat shit for a long time and just learn to love it. Learn to love the process. Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful perspective. And I kind of go back to the first few things we said on this episode, but you've always had that relentless mindset. And, you know, maybe you don't feel that way from the beginning, but I feel like I've seen that in you for a really long time. So it's cool to see you eat shit and continue to stand up.
I have a better one. Can I say this?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let your emotions get in the way.
Ooh,
I'll say that. Every day that you think that you feel a certain way, that you don't want to do something, or you feel like someone has treated you a certain way, or you feel any kind of feeling, put all those aside. What can you do right now to obtain your goal?
Oh, I like that. Because I was going to play devil's advocate and be all like, well, if you take that emotion, can you put it under your ass to fire, like use that as fire, use that as ammo, you know? You
can absolutely twist your emotions into being that, but I would say more often than not, it's more important to be objectively in line with what your objective is and what your goal is, and you know, maybe you feel weird about how you sent that email, or maybe you feel weird about just that conversation, or even having to pick up the phone, or like, just, you know, we all, as artists and as creative people, we get those kinds of weird feelings, and just, you know, let it go. Just get it done.
You just got to own it, man.
Just got to own it.
Yeah. Cause like what you're saying, like I've been in that spot before where I'm like, I'm going to take those emotions, I'm going to go super hard at this. And like more often than not, I find myself in a place of being burned. Sometimes it works out very productively, but often not. So
aren't we all human? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a ride, man. Well, dude, thank you for the profound parting words.
Yeah.
I think those were perfect.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. This has been a blast. Talking with y'all. Yeah.
Well, if you guys are enjoying these episodes on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, please follow the show on the app so you can be notified when new episodes drop every Friday. And if you don't mind, leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching these on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. That greatly helps us continue to make this project happen. And with that being said, thank you for being here. We'll catch you on the next one. Keep being scared of normal.
Yeah.